So considering the kind of time restrictions we have in the lives that we're leading right now, T20 is something we totally love, right? So how many fans? Can I see the hands once again? Because if you are a real T20 fan, then this session is something you're going to absolutely love. Ladies and gentlemen, this is about the book Cricket 2.0 Inside the T20 Revolution. And the authors are Tim Wigmore and Freddie Wilde. So Cricket 2.0 tells the story of how an old traditional game was transformed by 2020 and how this format moved from being a gimmick to the face of modern cricket. The iconic captain, Brendan McCullum, England's T20 visionaries, Eoin Morgan, Jos Buttler, and Trinidad's Kieran Pollard and Sunil Narayan, who rose to become among the first T20 millionaires, explain how they shaped T20 and how it shaped them. Test greats Rahul Dravid and Ricky Ponting recount what a sea change T20 represented and decode T20 strategy. A.B. de Villiers explores the limits of modern batting, and the Afghan phenomenon Rashid Khan shows that T20 superstars can now come from anywhere, and we've all been a witness to that. Told through compelling human interest stories and featuring interviews with more than 50 players and coaches, Tim Wigmore and Freddie Wilde examine how a cocktail of globalisation, new aggressive tactics, and huge investment are changing the sport faster than ever before. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very, very thrilled to have amongst us Tim Wigmore, and I request you to please join me in welcoming with a huge round of applause. Let's hear it for Tim. And this session is going to be moderated by Ambika Singh. And Ambika has been with NDTV's special projects for more than 6 years. She's worked on many social cause campaigns across various genres and spearheaded campaigns like Banega Swachh India and Banega Swasth India campaign. She's also anchored panel discussions on various health issues, and recently she also co-anchored the 12-hour live Banega Swasth India telethon with the campaign ambassador, Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, and truly a delight for us to welcome you here. Ladies and gentlemen, Ambika Singh, and very soon you're going to be joined by a special guest. I request two of you to please take over.
So Tim, thank you so much for coming here and speaking to all of us. First thing what I would like to ask you is, what really inspired you to write this book?
Thanks very much. It's fantastic to be here. Thanks for all coming. I suppose the most obvious reason is I wanted to read a book on T20 cricket. I wanted to read a book on how it had changed cricket, on all these transformations, on how the sport had changed on and off the field. I wanted someone to put it all together for me. And I looked and I couldn't find this book anywhere. So I decided to write it myself. I decided to write it with Freddie together. But yeah, that's the sort of simple answer.
So your book is already released in the UK. How's the feedback been?
Yeah, so far it's been really nice. Lots of people have said they've really enjoyed it, and I think there's a real, because there's sort of so much T20, it can be hard to see the wood from the trees sometimes.
Yeah.
So to actually take a step back and figure out how have we got here, what's the journey been like, what's really happened and what's next, I think people think there's a real value to that.
Another thing, perfect timing for the book, World Cup 2020 coming up. So did you all look at that when you were writing the book, that when you're going to release the book?
So that we weren't particularly looking at it, but it is good timing, obviously, because it makes it more relevant. I think it was very much a case of we wanted to write this book, so we went and did it. And obviously, there's actually a World Cup next year. There's another one in 2021.
Yeah.
So the one in 2020 in Australia, then in 2021 here in India. So there's 2 in 2 years. And yeah, 2 years is a long time in T20 because it's such a young format that it's evolving at a much faster rate than Test cricket or whatever. Test cricket is basically Test cricket's been played for 140 years.
Yeah.
People now know, more or less how to win games and what you're trying to do. But the exciting thing about T20 is all these new strategies are still being tried, being played out. There's more innovation going on, and I think generally of really any sport, there's probably more innovation going on in T20 because it's such a young sport, only started in 2003, and B, you have an influx of money in cricket, which has not really been there in the past in cricket, and all these people who are investing loads of money in franchises, they want to win, and that's why they're investing in the best analysts, the best research, trying to find the best tactics. Any way to get a little advantage is worth a lot of money, and that's really why we're seeing so many things being tried in T20. So it's very exciting. It's a sport that never stands still.
And it's picked up really quickly, considering like from 2003, it's picked up really quickly.
Yeah, so I think if you go back to the start of how it came about, so in 2002, the ECB in England, they were worried that cricket was not popular enough. So they did a marketing survey, and they surveyed loads of people in England, and they found there were lots of people there who were cricket tolerators, as they were called. This means that they could be persuaded to go to cricket, but they needed a reason, and they also needed it to fit in with their time-poor lives and their schedules. So this format was actually created by a marketing survey, which is kind of heretical to say in terms of what we think of as sport representing and coming out organically. We like that idea. But this was devised by a marketing survey, and actually what it found is that this format worked perfectly, and it launched in England, and no one is sure what to make of it. So lots of cancers in the first season. They don't pick their best players at the start. They don't really take it seriously. They don't know how the tactics will work out, so they often think spin will be useless. It turns out it's the most effective type of bowling. I'm sure we can talk about that later. And then basically, you get for the first time in many years in England, you get a lot of people going to county matches because of T20, and out of that, it just snowballs rapidly. 2 years later, the first men's international T20 happens. Again, this is initially a bit of a joke, so it's New Zealand v Australia, and New Zealand, they play in retro kits from the 1980s, and they have these amazing old, and they have playing in retro haircuts as well, and they get hammered. Ricky Ponting in that first ever T20 match, he scores 98 runs for Australia, but afterwards he's asked about T20 and he says, I think it's hard to take seriously. And so that shows it was still developing, and I think the two things that happened very, very soon after each other are the first World T20, which happens in 2007. Obviously, we have the amazing final when India beat Pakistan, and the whole tournament it's like over in 2 weeks, and it's a real short, sharp, dynamic tournament, and that really captures people, and they begin to see that not only is it entertainment, but there's a real edge to it as well, and players are really care about who wins, and the standard is high, and then of course we have the IPL, which launches early 2008, and that really does change everything in cricket.
So we are going to talk about that, but before that we have a special guest.
Apologies for the interruption. We are now being joined by a very special guest, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Joginder Sharma, the bowler who bowled the final over of the inaugural T20 World Cup that India won, beating Pakistan in the 2007 final, the same that Tim was talking to us about. And we request the three to please commence. Thank you.
Joginder, thank you for joining us. So we were just talking about the book. सबसे पहले आप हमें बताइए, what do you feel जो फॉर्मेट है T20 का, आपका क्या ख्याल है इस फॉर्मेट के बारे में?
बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग फॉर्मेट है, आप देखिए बहुत एंटरटेनिंग है, और 2007 वर्ल्ड कप के बाद तो आप देख ही रहे हैं कि हर एक किसी भी कंट्री में आप जाते हैं तो T20 आजकल क्योंकि छोटा फॉर्मेट होने से कम समय में जल्दी ख़त्म हो जाता है, लेकिन मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि जो हमारी T20 जो क्रिकेट है, अभी आप देख सकते हैं कि भी अब किसी भी कंट्री में जाएं, आप कंट्री के बजाय अब हम लोग किसी भी स्टेट में भी जाते हैं तो वहाँ पर T20 शुरू हो गया और लोगों को मज़ा आता है। तो कहने का मतलब यही है कि बेस्ट फॉर्मेट है ये, और एक क्रिकेट की नज़र से देखा जाए तो बेस्ट एक्सपोजर भी है। जब से IPL आया है या किसी भी स्टेट प्रीमियर लीग जो हो रही है कंट्री में, किसी भी कंट्री में जाइए आप कहीं पे भी देखिए, तो आई थिंक सो इज़ बहुत अच्छा फॉर्मेट है ये।
हम वही बात कर रहे थे कि 2007 में जब इंडिया ने फाइनल किया, आपने वो आखिरी ओवर बॉल किया था, तो धोनी ने आप पे ट्रस्ट किया, वो जब बॉल दिया उन्होंने, क्या आप हमें बता सकते हैं हम सबको वो कैसा था, वो रीलिव कर सकते हैं वो ओवर हम सब के लिए?
ऑब्वियसली एक्चुअली मैं और माही हम लोग काफ़ी क्रिकेट पहले भी खेले हैं, डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट खेले हैं, काफ़ी टूर्नामेंट्स खेले थे, और उसने देखा भी था सेमीफाइनल मैच में भी अगेंस्ट ऑस्ट्रेलिया मैंने लास्ट ओवर डाला था और मैंने सिर्फ 5 रन दिए थे लास्ट ओवर में और 2 विकेट भी किए थे। उससे पहले भी बहुत बार ऐसा टूर्नामेंट या डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट में हुआ है मेरे साथ कि लास्ट ओवर मैंने डाला और अच्छा प्रैक्टिस में भी हम लोग इस तरीके से डालते थे, तो उसको पूरा फेथ था। और T20 का एक तो फाइनल मैच, वर्ल्ड कप मैच अगेंस्ट पाकिस्तान, ऑब्वियसली इंडिया पाकिस्तान का तो आपको पता ही है जिस तरीके से लोगों में इंटरेस्ट रहता है, क्रेज रहता है, तो लास्ट ओवर बचा था उस टाइम पे। और उससे पहले हरभजन और श्रीशांत को भी थोड़ा मिसबा ने अच्छी हिटें मार दी थी, तो लास्ट ओवर बचा था, तो मैं एक ओवर मेरा बचा था और एक हरभजन का बचा था, तो मैं भी सोच ही रहा था कि भी धोनी मेरी तरफ देखे और मैं जैसे जाऊं तो बॉलिंग करूं। तो माही ने जैसे ही हाथ किया मैं दौड़ के गया, हम लोगों की यही बात हुई, माही ने बोला जो कि टेंशन नहीं लेना कि भी फाइनल मैच है, फाइनल ओवर है, हारेंगे तो मैं बैठा हूँ, लेकिन 100% कॉन्फिडेंस से अपना बॉल डाल। तो मैंने भी ये कहा नहीं हारेंगे हम लोग, क्योंकि उनको जीतने के लिए अभी 13 रन बाकी है और हमें आउट करने के लिए सिर्फ एक ही बॉल बाकी है। वो रिजल्ट आपके सामने ही है, 2007 वर्ल्ड कप इंडिया जीती, और उस 2007 वर्ल्ड कप के बाद ही आप देखिए कि T20 का क्रेज कितना बढ़ गया पूरे वर्ल्ड में।
इतना फेथ था उन्होंने मतलब आप पे दिखाया, और आपने ऑब्वियसली वो आपने कर दिखाया वो मैच जो फाइनल था, वो कैच जो था, डू यू थिंक दैट वाज आल्सो एक टर्निंग पॉइंट?
तो भी फ्रैंक मैं बताता हूँ, जब कैच उठा और हम लोगों ने सबने देखा कि श्रीशांत था, मैं भी वहीं पे था, तो मेरे दिमाग में भाई पकड़ लियो नहीं पकड़ेगा तो हम लोगों को फ्लाइट पकड़ना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा। तो अच्छा लगा कि उसने कैच पकड़ा भी, और फेथ था धोनी को मेरे ऊपर भी। सबसे बड़ी बात है कि मेरे को खुद को अपने ऊपर भरोसा था। आपको उस ओवर की कुछ यादें मैं आपको शेयर करना चाहता हूँ।
हाँ जी।
पहला बॉल जब मैं फेंक रहा था, पहला बॉल वाइड हुआ था, पहला ही बॉल वाइड हुआ था, और वो वाइड जब हुआ तो सबको टेंशन हो रहा था। मेरे ख्याल से कमेंटेटर भी कह रहे थे कि मैं प्रेशर में हूँ, लेकिन जब वाइड हुआ तो मेरे को खुशी हो रही थी, क्योंकि हम लोगों को टारगेट था कि जो वाइड का ऑफ स्टंप का वाइड का जो लाइन है उधर हम लोगों को यॉर्कर डालना है, लेकिन मैं उधर डालने का बॉल बहुत स्विंग हो रहा था। तो जब जिस क्लाइमेट में, मतलब मेरे को बेसिकली मैं एक स्विंग बॉलर हूँ, और जहाँ पर स्विंग होता है तो मेरे को कोई भी डिफिकल्टी नहीं थी, कोई भी बैट्समैन बैटिंग कर रहा होता है तो उससे मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस बढ़ा था। सेकंड बॉल डॉट बॉल था, उसके नेक्स्ट बॉल पे मेरे को छक्का भी लगा था, लेकिन फिर भी मेरी और माही की यही बात हुई थी कि कोई बात नहीं, उसको 1 रन दे के साइड करेंगे, दूसरे को आउट कर देंगे। तो उसने पहले ही वो स्कूप के लिए तैयार हो गया था। अब मेरा गॉड गिफ्टेड है कि जब मैं बॉलिंग करता था मेरा एक्शन ऐसा है कि थोड़ा सा ऊपर जाके थोड़ा पॉज होता है, फ्रैक्शन ऑफ सेकंड, तो बहुत पहले ही वो पोजीशन में आ गया था, और पहले भी हम लोगों ने देखा कि अच्छी शॉट खेलता है। तो जैसे वो पोजीशन में स्पीड कम किया, लेंथ पीछे गया, और रिजल्ट सबके सामने कि इंडिया T20 वर्ल्ड कप चैंपियन हुआ।
Acha, so Tim, I would like to ask you here. He's obviously told us, how that last over was when Dhoni gave him the ball, and obviously we won the match. India was the last test nation who actually started playing T20, and a lot of the senior players didn't even go, for the tournament. Do you think if we didn't win that match against Pakistan, it would take longer to reach, where T20 has taken off in India? Do you think it would have taken a longer time? Was that match the turning point?
Yeah, that game and the wicket you took was so important because actually the context is very important, which is that India had a very good one-day international team, and they went to the World Cup in 2007 earlier in the year as a very fancy team. They got to the final in the previous tournament in 2003. And then, of course, they lose to Bangladesh and they lose to Sri Lanka as well, and they're knocked out in the first stage. And this is a disaster. Obviously, it's a disaster for India. It's also a disaster for the ICC because they wanted India to progress in the tournament, so you get more people watching, advertisers happy, and so on. So there's a real... The World Cup in 07, the ODI World Cup, the ICC, the chief executive called it the tournament from hell. Everything that possibly could go wrong, it all went wrong. And then, so the World T20, the T20 World Cup, which comes 6 months later, it's competing against the memory of this basically very bad failed tournament, and it's everything about it is better. Basically, the tournament is shorter. There's more kind of riding on each game, and India doing well, which is very important for tournaments. And then we have the amazing final. I mean, to have India v Pakistan, and you couldn't have got it any better from the point of view of catapulting T20 and making it really, really serious. And so what happens is actually, but the IPL is announced to be created halfway through that tournament. So it's before the finals. It's halfway through the tournament. The plans for creating the IPL are announced. And that's kind of crazy, because the crazy thing is India originally did not even want to enter that tournament. So the only reason they entered the first World T20 is because they submitted their bid to host the World Cup in 2011 late, and the ICC said, you can have an extension if you enter this tournament we have. So a few very kind of random bits, some fate collides in a few ways, and you have this perfect final, and then everything changes from there. So I think had India not done as well in the tournament, I think we might have got to almost where we are today, but we wouldn't have got there nearly as quickly. And this means that, so the IPL is going to be created whatever, but India doing so well means there's so much interest and energy, and there's such a buzz for the tournament, and then we see T20 exploding, and almost from there, it almost seems inevitable in some ways.
So talking about the IPL, that's been the next game changer?
Yeah, and so we talk about like the biggest days in T20 cricket history and how we got here. Obviously the final in 07, as we talked about, and then we have the first ever day of the IPL, when again you have fate, call it whatever you want, where Brendan McCullum plays this incredible innings for KKR, Kolkata Knight Riders. He hits 158, which is the highest score in T20 history, and actually remains that way for a long time afterwards. So it's this amazing innings, and it sort of shows the full range of possibilities of batting in T20, and you have all the excitement. And again, it just creates this buzz which becomes self-perpetuating, and everyone's sort of talking about it, and people, players all want to be involved in it, because obviously when it came along, overseas players were attracted by the money, but what they see straight away is that if you do well as an overseas player in the IPL, you can be a real hero in India. Everyone chanting your name, and you can be so loved. Basically, everyone wants to be loved, of course, and then that helps to drive the IPL and really ensure that the quality of the IPL is high from the get-go.
So just talking about the game, जोगिंदर मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूँगी कि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि बैट्समैन एंड बॉलर, आपको कहीं ना कहीं लगता है T20 में बैट्समैन को ज़्यादा क्रेडिट दिया जाता है? लाइक आपने आखिरी ओवर बॉल किया था, सो एवरीबडी रिमेंबर्स जोगिंदर, बट कई मैचेस में ऐसा होता है कि बैट्समैन ओवरशैडो कर देता है.
एक्चुअली क्या है कि क्रिकेट जो है इंटरटेनिंग का है, और जब तक चौके छक्के ना लगे तब तक यार इंटरटेन नहीं होता. अगर जल्दी से आउट हो जाते तो मैच का मज़ा नहीं आता. तो मैं भी इस चीज़ के फेवर में हूँ कि बैटिंग विकेट होना चाहिए, और जितना अच्छा इंटरटेन हो वो अच्छी बात है, लोगों में देखने का मन करता है. और अभी बता रहे थे ये भी पहला ही मैच था IPL का जो था, मैकुलम ने 156 रन बनाया था, तो ऑब्वियसली वो देखने का क्रेज ये लग रहा था. आज के दिन देखिए T20 में 240 रन बने हैं, लास्ट गेम में इंडिया ने वेस्ट इंडीज़ के साथ बनाए हैं. तो 240 के बाद भी हम लोग ये सोचते हैं कहीं ये बन ना जाए, तो कोई भी ऐसा इम्पॉसिबल नहीं दिखता, और ये होना भी चाहिए, क्योंकि जो क्रिकेट में है तो बैटिंग को फर्स्ट ही माना जाता है. उसको अच्छे से एंटरटेनिंग होने के लिए बैट्समैन का बैटिंग का सरफेस होना बहुत ज़रूरी है.
So Tim, that's what I was asking Joginder, what he feels. Is somewhere that, the credit always goes to the batsman, and he has a very positive response saying that, it should be a batting pitch. People want to see the fours and sixes. Do you also feel while you were writing the book, when you spoke to the, all the players, what do you feel? Is it more of a batsman's game?
So yeah, T20, as Joginder said, it's set up for batsmen. People, it's created, and the idea of it is you go there, you see loads of brilliant fours and sixes, and it's all really, really exciting. And so some teams get the idea that the way to win matches is just to stockpile your team with loads of great batsmen. But what actually quickly becomes apparent in T20 is it's generally teams with the best bowling attack that actually win. And this is so sort of for all the differences between T20 and Test. This is a fundamental way in which they're similar. That bowling actually is more important than batting, and we find on the free market, in drafts and auctions and stuff, some owners like to just get all the best batting talent. A great example of this is Bangalore Rcb. So they have this sort of team of Galacticos. They have Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers, Chris Gale, Shane Watson, all these great batsmen, and they have an amazing, they have a sort of flat pitch at Bangalore, small boundaries, and it's all set up for these batting talents to show off. But the thing is, they spend all their money on batsmen, so they have a lack of money left over for bowlers, and this is why Bangalore have still never won the IPL, and have actually become to some people a bit of a joke in the IPL, because sometimes they can score 200 and the other team will just outscore them. And then the counter of that, you see a team like CSK, Chennai, and their success actually, the strength of their bowling attack has been at the heart of their success. So they don't need to score 200 to win a match. They can score 150, 160, and they can still win. And so actually I think the most efficient way of building a top T20 franchise is to really invest in your bowling. Obviously, you want to have good batsmen as well, but really invest in your bowling, because the thing is, your fifth best batsman, if you're batting well, he will not do a lot of batting. You hope he doesn't do a lot of batting, but your fifth best bowler, it still has to bowl 4 overs, which is why if you have some weak links in your bowling attack, that really gets exposed. So we saw that with Bangalore in 2018. They had Corey Anderson from New Zealand, who's basically a batting all-rounder, really doesn't bowl a huge amount, and he was bowling for them at the death as their death bowler. And then there was this game against Chennai. I remember I was at the Wankhede Stadium, and Bangalore batted first, got 205. Brilliant innings from Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers. But Chennai, they needed like 70 of the last 6 overs, and they were just able to target these bowlers and actually win it quite easily. So actually, I think bowling is the most important part of T20.
So investing in bowling as well.
Sorry?
Investing in the bowlers as well.
Yeah. So I think investing in bowling is more important than actually investing in batting. I think bowling is harder in T20 than batting is harder. So if you can stop the runs, that's so valuable. And we begin to see that. It's why players like Rashid Khan go for so much money, because you get him, he's not going to go for more than 25, 30 runs, and then you can lock in those overs. That's such an important thing.
Stopping the runs as well as, getting the wickets out. But while we're talking about IPL, this whole format of T20 has got a lot of, talent. And a lot of players, of course, come for the IPL, they play in India, but unfortunately the Indian players aren't allowed to go out and play. So I would like to ask first Tim and also Joginder, what do you feel? Do you think the BCCI should allow the Indian players? One, it's money, yes, but secondly, also it gives a lot of, it gives you a lot of experience to be playing out there for another county. Yeah,
so I think if you look at the Indian national team today, I think T20 is definitely the worst format of the Indian national team. The Test team is phenomenal. The ODI team is very strong as well. T20 is the worst of those 3, and I think the fact that the best players from other countries, the West Indies are a great example of this. Their best players play all around the world, which is when the last T20 World Cup was in India. For the West Indies, it was like playing at home. But the problem for India is because the BCCI does not allow their players to play in other leagues, it means that they can't learn from other strategies. They don't play in other conditions. And also, the responsibility of being an overseas player is really important. So if you come to the IPL as an overseas player, the pressure's on you to perform. And that applies to a slightly lesser extent when you're an overseas player in other leagues. So I think if Indian players were going to the Big Bash or the T20 Blast or whatever, or the CPL, it would be really good for them. It would, exposure to conditions, pressure of having to perform, learning to adapt, getting new ideas, and I think that would actually help the Indian T20 team to perform stronger. So I think the BCCI's position on that has actually weakened the Indian team. It's been a bit of a self-inflicted wound by the BCCI.
So it would be better for even the national team. What do you think, Joginder? आपका क्या कहना है?
बिल्कुल सही बात है और दोनों तरफ से मैं कहूँगा एक तो प्लेयर्स का कॉन्फिडेंस इतना बढ़ता है अब कितना बड़ा एक्सपोजर आ गया आईपीएल जब से आया है आप देखिए हमारा जो बेंच स्ट्रेंथ है कितना स्ट्रॉन्ग हो गया और जब से आईपीएल चालू हुआ है और इंडियन टीम का हम लोग देख सकते हैं आज परफॉर्मेंस क्या रहता है कि टेस्ट में वनडे में T20 में हर जगह नंबर 1 रहा है और आज के दिन हम पहले क्या आईपीएल से पहले हम देख रहे थे जब इंडियन टीम थी तो हम कोई भी प्लेयर इंजर्ड हो जाता था या किसी का परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा नहीं चल रहा था बहुत मुश्किल से कोई दूसरा प्लेयर देखने को मिल रहा था लेकिन आज के दिन आप देखिए कि भी अगर कोई ओपनर्स आपके लिए एक एग्जांपल बताता हूँ कि अभी शिखर धवन अभी इंजर्ड था केएल राहुल हमारे पास है यहाँ ईशान किशन भी है और रोहित शर्मा बहुत अच्छा कर रहा है और कितने सारे अभी अपना इज द राइट हैंडर बैट्समैन the name is from Mumbai 19 years old what is the name अभी कितने लोग हैं जो कि पीछे बैठे हैं मोहम्मद शामी नहीं है तो उमेश
यादव तो अगर बाहर
खेल
खेलने को उनको अगर अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी दूसरे लीग्स में खेलने के लिए क्या आपको लगता है वो इंडियन क्रिकेट के लिए भी जैसे टीम कह रहे हैं बेटर रहेगा
एक्चुअली इंडियन टीम इतने मैचेस खेलती है मेरे ख्याल से अगर बाहर खेलेंगे क्योंकि हर एक प्लेयर को थोड़ा सा देखना ही पड़ता क्योंकि ह्यूमन बॉडी है ये तो मैं जितना क्रिकेट इंडिया में होता है मेरे को नहीं लगता कि बाहर खेलना चाहिए क्योंकि इंडिया में ही इतना क्रिकेट होता है इतना एक्सपोजर मिलता है वो अपने कंट्री के लिए खेलें तो बेसिकली अपनी कंट्री को ज़्यादा सर्व कर पाएंगे आगे अगर आप पैसे को देखे जाए तो इंडिया में भी काफ़ी पैसा है और बाहर जाने का इतना ज़रूरत नहीं क्योंकि आप जितने भी ओवरसीज़ प्लेयर देखिए बिग बैश देखिए या कोई और भी किसी भी कंट्री की लीग देखिए तो उसमें मैक्सिमम प्लेयर्स खेलते हैं पाकिस्तानी या वेस्ट इंडीज़ के ज़्यादा प्लेयर्स खेलते हैं न्यूजीलैंड के जो रिटायर होने वाले होते हैं वो प्लेयर्स खेलते हैं तो मेरे ख्याल से नहीं लगता कि इंडियंस जो प्लेयर है उनको बाहर जाके खेलना चाहिए और इंडिया में ही बहुत
So आप डिफर करते टिम he differs he feels that India has enough of matches here there's enough of cricket being played so he feels there's not a need but let me come to asking you about the 100 that's again something which the UK is going to start and Yuvraj Singh has also said about it that the 100 will actually revolutionize cricket what is your take on that?
Yeah, so I think the way we've got to the 100 is interesting. Essentially, the ECB, English Cricket Board, for years it's been wanting to create a new franchise T20 tournament. It's been jealous of leagues like the IPL, and they've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and they basically tried to come up with something that kind of almost out IPLs the IPL. So that's why they've gone for an even shorter format. And they're hopefully, bringing the sort of razzmatazz and the feel of that. So they're trying to do something different because the T20 market is very saturated, the number of leagues around the world. So they think, the best way of standing out from the crowd, doing something a little bit different. And obviously it fits in even more than T20 with, the shorter attention spans of people and stuff because they say the whole game will be over and out in 2.5 hours. So, from their point of view, they would hope ideal for kids and so on to come on a after school weeknight. Whether it will revolutionise cricket, I think it will. It's definitely part of the T20 or the revolution that's happening with T20, and it might help to accelerate that. But I think T20. I think we might see 100. You might see it in other countries. But I think T20 now has got a lot of actually sporting integrity and it's really respected as a game, both the entertainment and the skills and so on. It's actually got a bit of tradition, even though it's still a very new game. So I don't think, for example, I think the World Cup will stay T20. It's not going to be on 100 anytime soon. And I think the IPL, I don't know why they would necessarily switch from T20 format. So it will be 100 will be an innovation, but I don't think it will necessarily be as big an innovation as probably the IPL was when that was created.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, Lalit Modi, he is supposedly the father of T20 cricket. He lives in your country. Have you met him there? Or during the book, did you meet him?
No, I didn't meet with Lalit, one of the few people. We talked to over 80 people, but Lalit was one of the few ones we didn't talk to. But we talked a lot with Andrew Wildblood, who helped set up the league with Lalit, his sort of, they created it together. And one of the interesting things about the start of the IPL, how it's created, is what it was modelled on. So it was modelled on American sports leagues and that sort of franchise system. And the reason it was modelled on those is because those leagues have a system of competitive balance. So the idea is the weakest team can beat the strongest team. You know, the NFL has a saying called on any given Sunday, you know, anyone can beat anyone. And that was the idea of the IPL. So they had sort of a salary cap per team, and the idea was you wouldn't have one team just outspending everyone else and winning everything. And they also had no promotion and relegation, and that made it very attractive to buy a franchise because it means you don't need to actually even win that many matches to make money, and you can't go down. And what we see in Premier League football in England is if you get relegated from the Premier League, it costs you like 100 million as a club. So this is terrifying for the owners and stuff. And so the IPL wants to avoid that, and that actually makes it more attractive for owners to invest.
Yeah, okay, let me ask you something, Joginder. Do you feel that Dhoni is the world's best T20 player? What is your take on that?
आई थिंक सो, क्योंकि धोनी ने आप कितने भी आप जब से खेल रहे हैं देखिए, मैं सिर्फ T20 की बात नहीं करूँगा, वनडे हो या टेस्ट मैच हो, और T20 में आप कितने ऐसे मैचेस हैं कि अभी विराट कोहली जैसा कर रहा है, उससे पहले धोनी था कि जो मैच फिनिशर है उससे बड़ा फिनिशर नहीं देखा मैंने T20 में. आप कभी भी देखिए कि उसके दिमाग में हमेशा गेम प्लान चलता रहता है. जब भी बैटिंग करने उतरता है तो स्टार्टिंग में थोड़ा टाइम लेता है, लेकिन उसको पता है उसकी स्ट्रेंथ का. और कितना बहुत सारे ऐसे मैचेस है कि हम लोग सोचते हैं कि एवरेज बढ़े जा रहा है. मैं भी उसके साथ CSK में 4 साल खेला हूँ, धोनी मेरा कैप्टन रहा. तो कितने ऐसे मैचेस है कि अभी 10 का एवरेज हो गया, 11 का हो गया, 12-13 तक पहुँच जाता था, और विकेट्स भी 6 आउट हो गए, 7 आउट हो गया. लेकिन जब तक धोनी रहता है हम लोगों को कॉन्फिडेंस रहता है कि जो भी मर्जी एवरेज हो बना देगा. तो मेरे ख्याल से T20 में पूरे वर्ल्ड में जितने बेस्ट फिनिशर हैं, जितने बैट्समैन हैं, उनमें से धोनी वन ऑफ द बेस्ट है. अभी विराट को मैं मान सकता हूँ कि विराट कितने ऐसे मैचेस है कि चेंज करते हुए विराट ने ख़त्म किए हैं. ऐसे ही मैं धोनी को मानता हूँ कि धोनी बेस्ट प्लेयर रहा है T20.
That's what I was asking Joginder, what he feels about Dhoni as a batsman. So he definitely feels he is one of the world's, best batsmen. Of course, he's also said Virat Kohli is, the one. What do you feel about the Indian batsmen as well as bowlers? Indian T20 players. Indian as a nation, the cricketers. What is your take on that?
Do you mean now or over T20 history?
Now.
So I think, as I said,
of course, Dhoni because he's still playing the IPL, yeah. But since T20, let's put it that way because I asked Joginder in that context.
So the impact of MS Dhoni on T20 cricket is massive because he's obviously the captain in 07. And as a captain, he's incredibly smart. So what he actually learns with India and with Chennai as well is that you see some captains and they sort of lose a close game and they want to tear up the book and drop 4 or 5 players. I think if you look at the strategy of CSK, probably especially over the years, if they lose, they actually don't try and change a lot. So I think he's one of his great strengths is he is not emotional. So he keeps his cool under pressure and he knows how to sort of take a step back and analyze. I think he realizes that there's a randomness kind of inherent in T20 and sort of, strange things can happen. Carlos Brathwaite can hit the last 4 balls for 6 and everything changes. And so if you want to be consistent over time, one of the keys is actually learn to accept that and actually stick to what you believe in and the process and so on. And actually, it's talking about as an IPL captain, when we see with Virat Kohli and RCB, we have a chapter of this on the book looking at why Chennai is so successful and Bangalore have been so unsuccessful. And one of the things actually is when over IPL history, after each game, with Bangalore, they tend to make twice as many changes as Chennai. So they're always sort of searching for this perfect kind of game that doesn't really exist. And I think one of the weaknesses of Kohli as a captain is he seems to be a bit too reactive. He seems to change things too often. That's what people have told us. And I think with Dhoni as a captain, he is, he's not emotional and he's very clinical in how he dissects things. And that, if you look at what he's done with Chennai, I think they've got to 7 finals in 8 seasons. That's an unbelievable record. And to be that consistent, you've got to be so smart as a captain. So obviously people talk about his batting, but as a captain, he would probably be unsurpassed in T20 history.
T20 history, yeah. Okay, since you were talking about your book and I was going through it, I read something. You've mentioned that if Gale was T20's gunslinger, McCullum was its philosopher king. So why have you mentioned that in your book?
So the reason we have that line is one of the difficulties for batsmen in T20 who grew up playing the longer formats was to accept actually the amount of risk you have to take in T20 and to accept that you have to actually, it sounds weird, but not value your wicket so highly. You have to be prepared to fail, and that is kind of wired into the game. And McCullum grasps very instinctively that failure is part of the game, and he does not. He's not reined in terms of how he bats, and when he's a captain, he basically try and creates a culture where players have kind of complete freedom, and there's no, if you're caught on the boundary or whatever, there's no sense of what the hell are you doing. You're playing accordingly, and so actually what we see in T20 generally, we see that teams value their wickets too highly, and we see games where teams batting first only lose a few wickets and don't score enough runs, and then their totals get chased down. And actually, a classic example of that would be the last semi-final in the World T20 in 2016, India v the West Indies. So on a very, very flat pitch in Mumbai, Wankhede, India get 192 for 2, and it sounds like a good score, but the pitch is so flat. And we talked to the West Indies about that game, and they actually thought India were under par. So even though they lost 2 wickets, they were under par, and West Indies go and chase that quite easily. And in a sense, that shows what I mean about the McCullum idea, which is that you cannot be thinking about getting actually a high score and just for yourself. It's about doing what's best for the team. And sometimes we see in T20, you can get 50, but if you get it off 40 balls, that's actually doing more harm for your team than it is good. And we see those innings quite a lot in T20, especially the early years, because batsmen are they cannot get into a mindset where they accept they will fail quite a lot. And this is also partly a problem from teams. So teams might see that a player, if he's playing in a high-risk way, he gets out a few times cheaply, then he'll be ruthlessly dropped. And that actually obviously discourages players from playing with freedom. So it's about creating that culture. And that goes to what I talked about with Dhoni at CSK and McCullum's approach generally. It's about creating a culture where batsmen can fail, and they won't be dropped immediately, and that actually encourages them to go for it earlier so they don't chew up lots of balls early in their innings, and ultimately that's how you reach higher scores in T20.
Okay. So something I want to ask Joginder here is about the fitness level. When it comes to a different form, and you're talking about T20, that more athletic, your actions need to be faster, whether it's catches. What is your take on that? कितना fitness मतलब ज़रूरी है?
एक्चुअली आप देखें तो अभी T20 में जो हम लोगों का जो फोर्स लगता है वो एक वनडे और टेस्ट मैच से ज़्यादा लगता है, क्योंकि टेस्ट मैच में आप देखिए 5 दिन का गेम होता है कि एक बाउंड्री भी अगर जाता है तो उसको रिकवर कर सकते हैं, लेकिन T20 में अगर 2 रन भी या 1 रन भी हम लोग एक्स्ट्रा देते हैं तो उसको कवर करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है. और फिटनेस लेवल का आप देखेंगे कि T20 20 के 20 ओवर हम लोगों को पूरा ऑन टोज रहना पड़ता है, स्प्रिंटेड लगाने पड़ते हैं, बहुत मतलब हम किसी भी एक भी बॉल पे रिलैक्स नहीं रह सकते हैं. और ऐसे ही हम लोगों का टाइम लिमिट होता है T20 में कि भी इतनी देर में ओवर करना होता है, फील्ड चेंज करना होता है. और आप देखिए कि T20 इतना फास्ट क्रिकेट है कि भी 1 रन से हर एक बैट्समैन को भी शॉट खेलता तो 1 के बजाय 2 देखता है, 1 रन ज़्यादा भागने को दौड़ता है. तो अगर फील्डिंग करना है या बैटिंग करना है, बॉलिंग करना है, बीच में हम लोगों को 10 या 15 मिनट मिलता है जो बीच का गैप, वापस ऑलमोस्ट देखा जाए तो 40 ओवर की गेम रहती है. 40 के 40 ओवर दोनों टीमों के लिए ऐसा रहता है कि बहुत फिटनेस लेवल है, बहुत हाई फिटनेस हम लोगों को चाहिए. और आज के दिन जो इंडियन टीम को जो परफॉर्मेंस जो आ रहा है उसका एक बहुत बड़ा कारण फिटनेस है, क्योंकि आज के दिन कोई भी देखिए, आप खुद विराट कोहली को देखिए 2007 में जब ये हमारे दिलीप ट्रॉफी का टीम में आए थे तो एक थोड़ा सा मोटा सा था, इस तरीके से लगता था. हम लोग भी बात करते थे फिटनेस करना चाहिए इसको. और 2007 के विराट कोहली में और आज के विराट कोहली में दिन रात का फ़र्क है. और जब कैप्टन ने ऐसा एग्जाम्पल सेट किया है तो ऑब्वियसली आज आप चाहे हार्दिक पांड्या को देखिए, जडेजा को देखिए, कोई भी नया प्लेयर आता है तो उसका फिटनेस देखिए, इज द बेस्ट फिटनेस है आज के दिन देख रहा हूँ मैं क्रिकेट इंडियन टीम का.
Yeah, so that's what Joginder is also sharing, how important fitness is, because every single run which you save, or whether it's a catch, it's really important. Those 40 overs which are on the field, it's really, really important for the team, very crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we look at the quality of fielding and fitness around the world now compared to, say, 2008, before the IPL, it's gone through the roof now. And we're also, again, because of the amount of money in teams, in domestic teams, they're paying so much attention to what their players are doing, not only during the season but off the season as well. So we see with KKR, they've been at the forefront of this. So they've actually flown players like Andre Russell and Sunil Narayan. They've flown them to Kolkata in the off season to do medical work, so they can keep an eye on them and actually help them. So you're almost seeing the start of a process like in football where players will kind of have their main teams and kind of work with them all year round, and that will help to get a new level of professionalism, even more than we already have. So I think you're getting more and more people thinking about how can you get, as you said, any advantage possible. And a big one actually is that by your players being fitter, they will not miss as many games, and if you're signing a guy for a lot of money and he's out for several games of the IPL, that could potentially that could cost you a chance of getting to the playoff, and so that's going to cost you actually a lot of money. So if you can spend a little bit of that on working to ensure they're fitter and they do not miss matches, that investment can repay itself many times over.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to ask you, the world's three best captains, Virat Kohli, Butler. I mean, I would like to ask you, they all, they play all the three formats. But Virat Kohli also personally feels, Test cricket is really important. But do you think with the popularity that T20 has, the way it's going, do you think somewhere Test cricket may fizzle out?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's kind of a eternal question. So, like throughout the history of Test cricket, people have always been worrying about Test cricket. You can see articles from like 1907, and people are saying, "Oh no, what's happened to Test cricket? We're really worried about the future. It doesn't fit in, and so on." So this is an eternal question. But obviously, the new thing about T20 is it means there's competition from within cricket. So so there's a risk of T20 of it cannibalising Test cricket. That said, at the moment, we actually have 12 countries playing, which is more than have ever played before Test cricket. And in some ways, actually, the competition from T20 is forcing Test cricket to get its act together. So a great example was the day-night test in Kolkata recently. That was a brilliant spectacle and a brilliant occasion. And the way it was marketed, and obviously the fact it was day-night, that actually kind of borrows from techniques used in T20 and the IPL.
Yes.
So there's it, and even now we have a structure. We have the World Test Championship in cricket, which is it's a bit confusing, but at least you're making a competition which reaches a winner, just like you have in T20 leagues. So I think the hope actually is that competition from T20 will help Test cricket. I mean, clearly now T20 is more popular than Test cricket. That's undeniable. But I think if administrators work well together and actually use the money from T20 to subsidise Test cricket.
Test cricket, okay.
And a bit like how you use commercial theatre to subsidise Shakespeare and classic theatre. Yeah. It's a similar kind of principle actually. So I think if administrators are able to manage this well and sensibly, I think all formats can actually survive and thrive. And often we see in this debate, sometimes people say, we have T20 here, we have Test cricket here. Those are both great and distinct, but what about ODIs? They're the middle sibling. We can get rid of them. They're boring. But we saw the World Cups consistently in ODI cricket produce really compelling cricket. So I actually think as long as it's managed well, and it is a tightrope all the time because the schedule's overpacked, having three formats and three different things to offer fans, that actually can be a real strength for cricket because you can connect with it in different ways. And sometimes T20 or even T10, maybe T10 leads to T20, leads to you being an ODI fan, and then leads to you watching some Test cricket. Most people will not go on that path, but even if a few do, that's still adding to the fan base for Test cricket. And to go back to your point on Virat Kohli, it's the clear way that he values Test cricket so strongly is actually so important for Test cricket because by valuing it so highly, that's in how he goes about it and prepares. A, he's ensuring he's playing at a very high standard, but B, he's created a culture of respect, so that is followed by other players in the Indian team, and most importantly of all, if fans can see how seriously that Kohli's playing in Test cricket, that encourages them to go, hey, if it's worth him bothering with it, it's worth me bothering with it as well, and that's how you create a new generation of Test match fans to keep the game going. I mean, the fact is the format's lasted 142 years, and it's lasted that long because it's a great game, and so if that can be sustained, sometimes people say, you can love T20 or Test, but not both. But I don't agree with that. I think you can love all types
the
of
formats,
cricket in different ways and appreciate them in different ways. But I think there is room for all. And actually, sometimes going from T20 to Test make you enjoy the Test more, and sometimes going from Test to T20 makes you enjoy the T20 more. So they can help each other out, and also provides for more variety. It's boring having fast food all the time.
Yeah,
it's boring having a gourmet
you need
meal
that
all the time. So having variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, so you need that change. I mean, it's also important to keep the cricket, I mean, like you said, test cricket. जोगिंदर, मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछना चाहूँगी. कहीं ना कहीं आपने वो जैसे ओवर खेला, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं आपको लगता है कि आपको इतने अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ नहीं मिले आगे.
थोड़ा सा हुआ मेरे को भी फील, क्योंकि वर्ल्ड कप के बाद मैं कोई भी इंटरनेशनल मैच नहीं खेला हूँ. मैं थोड़ा सा अनलकी इसलिए भी रहा हूँ कि 2008 में जब IPL खेल रहा था तो इंजरी के कारण मेरे को उस टाइम बाहर हो गया था. और जब कम बैक करा तो 2011 में एक मेजर एक्सीडेंट के कारण मैं लगभग 1.5 साल के 20 महीने मैं क्रिकेट फील्ड से दूर रहा. लेकिन सब डॉक्टर्स वगैरह ने सब मना कर दिया था खेलने के लिए कि भी अभी फील्ड पे आना बहुत मुश्किल है. तो बैठे हुए सोच रहा था, लेकिन मेरा जो क्रिकेट का जुनून है, पैशन है, वो मेरे अंदर था ही, और मेरे को था कि खेलना है, वापस आना ग्राउंड पे. तो उसके बाद फिटनेस शुरू किया तब, तो हार्डली 200 मीटर भी नहीं दौड़ पा रहा था मैं. तो ऐसे ही बात किया तो मेरे कुछ फ्रेंड्स हैं, मेरे पेरेंट्स ने बहुत साथ दिया, और हमारे जो फिजियो थे अमित त्यागी, उसने मेरी बहुत हेल्प की. और लगभग 6 महीने के बाद मैं वापस क्रिकेट फील्ड पे आया, और 2017 तक मैं क्रिकेट खेला और टीम के साथ जुड़ा रहा, परफॉर्म भी किया, अच्छा परफॉर्म किया. और लकीली फिर 2017 के बाद मैं नहीं खेल रहा हूँ खुद से. अभी मैं पुलिस ऑफिसर इन हरियाणा पुलिस.
उसके बारे में बताइए, कितना अलग है, मतलब क्रिकेट आपका जुनून है, जैसे आपने कहा पैशन है, लेकिन मैं कहीं पढ़ रही थी, आप कह रहे थे कि जब आप जो पुलिस में भी जो आप कर रहे हैं, वो आपको लोगों को जो आप हेल्प करते हैं उसमें भी आपको बहुत आनंद मिलता है.
ऑब्वियसली जब किसी भी चीज़ में इंटरेस्ट होता है, चाहे आपको खेलने में हो या कोई डिफरेंट जॉब हो, खेलने से अलग कुछ भी हो सकता. मेरा पुलिसिंग में है, वहाँ जाके मैंने देखा बहुत ही डिफरेंट, बिल्कुल अलग ही कल्चर है वहाँ पर. और पुलिसिंग में ये है कि लोग आते हैं, उनको एक्सपेक्टेशन होती है हम लोगों से, हम लोग उनकी हेल्प करें. तो यू नो अबाउट कि भी पुलिस का जो रेपुटेशन है, थोड़ा सा लोग किस वे में देखते हैं, और हम लोग ये चाहते हैं कि वो चेंज हो रहा है, और काफ़ी चेंज भी हो गया हद तक. जो पहले वाला नज़रिया था लोगों का देखने का, उससे थोड़ा सा बेटर हुआ है, और हम लोग और बेटर करना चाहते हैं. लोग जो आते हैं, क्योंकि हम पब्लिक के लिए बैठे हैं, वी आर ए पब्लिक सर्वेंट, तो अच्छा लगता है लोगों की हेल्प करके कि हम किस तरीके से हेल्प कर सकते हैं. क्रिकेट से भी जुड़ा रहता हूँ, जैसे ही मौका मिलता है कहीं ना कहीं खेलने का तो खेलने जाता हूँ. हाँ, अभी प्रोफेशनली नहीं खेल रहा हूँ, लेकिन जहाँ भी किसी बच्चे को हेल्प चाहिए या मैं फिटनेस करने जाता हूँ, वहाँ पर बच्चे खेल रहे होते हैं, किसी को ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो मैं ज़रूर हेल्प करता हूँ.
उनको टेक्निक
और
वगैरह
ऑब्वियसली आई जस्ट प्लान कि भी वापस फील्ड में भी आऊँगा, क्रिकेट फील्ड में ना किसी भी में भी हो सकता है जिसको जो हेल्प चाहिए उस तरीके से हेल्प करने के लिए ज़रूर आऊँगा.
Zarur, I'm sure that will. So I was asking him, he's now with, he's with the police. I was asking him how he feels of that. But Tim, another thing I would like to ask you here is that, there have been many corruptions, scandals. And do you think the sport has suffered because of it?
Yeah, I mean, so the problem with T20 from the point of view of corruption is we have, so before you just have international cricket as the only thing that was televised, and so actually the only thing that from the point of view of a match fixer is worth fixing. Now we have so many T20 leagues all around the world, which means you have so many more games that are worth fixing, and you have some of these players in these leagues are not paid a huge amount. So we've seen lots of. I mean, we've seen from the IPL, we've seen Hong Kong, we've seen lots of rumours about Afghanistan, we've seen stuff in the T20 Blast, we've seen stuff in the Pakistan Super League, we've seen stuff in the Bangladesh Premier League. Like it's a long list, and I think because there's just so many games and so many players, and also the life of a T20 player can be very insecure and short, so players are worried about holding on to their contract and so on, and what the future will be, which is why they potentially are very vulnerable to match fixing. If someone says, I can pay you 2 or 3 times what you're earning this season, all you need to do is score under 10 runs today, you're like, well, I might have scored under 10 runs anyway. So it feels like a victimless crime, but of course it's not. So yeah, cricket, it's probably improved its corruption work, the ICC, in the last couple of years, but I think there's still a long way to go.
Be done. Yeah. So, okay, I'm just going to ask if anybody has any questions to ask Tim as well as Joginder. So I think we'll open it to all of you. can't see. Please introduce yourself. Is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap? और कुछ or anything else? अगर वो सवाल पूछने के बाद wrap up. They're going to ask some questions from there. Is there anything else?
Check.
After the question, we can.
Hello. My name is Pavan Arora and my question for Joginder sir is this कि आपको डेथ बॉलिंग की एडवाइस किसने दी और आपकी क्या एडवाइस होगी आजकल के यंगस्टर्स के लिए कि वो डेथ ओवर्स में कैसे बॉलिंग करें?
एक्चुअली एडवाइस तो किसी ने नहीं दी थी मेरे को. एक्चुअली मैं क्रिकेट बहुत खेला हूँ और जब भी हम इंडियन टीम के लिए सिलेक्ट होते हैं तो उससे पहले हम बहुत सारी क्रिकेट खेलते हैं. मैं एक रोहतक से बिलोंग करता हूँ और मैं डेली वहाँ मतलब महीने में लगभग 20 से 25 दिन ऐसे होते थे कि मैं सुबह 3:30 बजे उठकर ट्रेन पकड़ के दिल्ली मैच खेलने आता था. तो दिल्ली की क्रिकेट ने मेरे को बहुत सिखाया और दिल्ली में जितनी क्रिकेट होती है आपको पता ही है, हर टाइप की वनडे क्रिकेट ज़्यादा होती थी. तो जितने भी लिमिट ओवर की क्रिकेट होती थी तो कॉन्फिडेंस ऑब्वियसली वहाँ से बहुत बड़ा मेरा. और जब इतनी क्रिकेट खेलने के बाद मैं कहीं भी जाता हूँ तो मेरा ऑब्वियसली मैं चाहे नई बॉल से बॉलिंग करूँ, चाहे डेथ ओवर में करूँ, चाहे मिडल ओवर में करूँ, कॉन्फिडेंस बहुत हाई था. तो मेरा पूरा किसी ने एडवाइस नहीं किया था. मेरे को यही था कि जोन सी मर्जी सिचुएशन में बैटिंग बॉलिंग जहाँ भी मिलेगी मैं उसको अपने आप को प्रूव कर सकता हूँ.
सर आपकी आजकल के यंगस्टर्स के लिए क्या एडवाइस होगी कि वो कैसे करें? जैसे आजकल हम देख रहे हैं डेथ बॉलिंग में यंगस्टर्स कई बार बहुत रन दे जाते हैं. तो जैसे आपका एक्सपीरियंस है, आपने 2007 वर्ल्ड कप में भी करी है डेथ बॉलिंग में, तो आपको क्या एडवाइस दोगे आप लोग यंगस्टर्स को कि वो कैसे करें, क्या ग्रिप करें अपनी बॉल पे?
और T20 डेथ ओवर से पहले मैं आपको एडवाइस देता हूँ कि भी जो पहले हम लोग अभी बात ही कर रहे थे तो मेरे कुलीग ने बताया कि भी टेस्ट मैच जो होता है वो हम लोगों का सबसे बेस्ट क्रिकेट होता है. तो मैं भी उस बात से एग्री करता हूँ. और क्योंकि टेस्ट मैच की फिटनेस करने के लिए 5 दिन का मैच होता है, 5 दिन का फिर से गैप होता है, 5 दिन फिर मैच होता है. चाहे रणजी ट्रॉफी लीजिए 4 दिन का मैच होता है, 4 दिन का गैप होने का फिर से 4 दिन, 8 से 10 मैचेस होते हैं. तो फिटनेस लेवल उस तरीके का करेंगे तो T20 में ऑब्वियसली एक तो टेस्ट मैच खेलेंगे, रणजी ट्रॉफी में 4 डेज मैच खेलेंगे तो कॉन्फिडेंस आपका बढ़ेगा. और एक क्रिकेटर के लिए यही होगा कि जिसके अंदर जितना कॉन्फिडेंस होगा, कॉन्फिडेंस तभी आता है जब वो खेलता है, जितना मेहनत करता है. अगर वो हार्डवर्क नहीं करेगा, फिटनेस नहीं करेगा, बॉलिंग नहीं करेगा मैक्सिमम, तो डेथ ओवर को छोड़ो, वो किसी भी चाहे नई बॉल हो, चाहे मिडल ओवर हो, चाहे डेथ ओवर हो, वो बॉलिंग करना बहुत मुश्किल होगा. तो मैं यही एडवाइस करूँगा कि अपना फिटनेस करें. और टेस्ट मैच को देखते हो कि मेरे को 4 दिन का मैच खेलना है, 4 दिन का मैच अगर वो अच्छी फिटनेस से खेलेगा तो वनडे और T20 में थोड़ा उसके लिए इजी रहेगा. और टेस्ट मैच में तो ज़्यादा बॉलिंग करेगा, जितना ज़्यादा बॉलिंग करेगा उतना एक्सपीरियंस ज़्यादा बढ़ेगा.
Hello everyone, my name is Niharika and I have a question for both Tim as well as Joginder, that in the 2018 and this year's IPL we have seen that the matches have extended beyond the time limit, like they have been stretching for 3.5 to 4 hours. So, and I read somewhere that the Caribbean Premier League has a rule for slow over rates, like reduction in the net run rate, like I have read this. So do you guys feel that that the rule what was there in the Caribbean Premier League needs to be brought in the other leagues, especially in the IPL, so that the matches can be completed on time and the audience also get back to their routine? Because it has actually led to few close friends of mine, sleep routine has actually been derailed because of IPL matches extending till 12 in the night and beyond 12 as well sometimes.
Yeah, so it's a really good question, because we talked about at the start about the attention spans today in the modern world and how T20 was actually partly created to deal with that. And originally T20s would take 2 hours 45, 3 hours, and yeah. So as you said, the matches go into 4 hours and into like 12. I mean that's getting way too long. Actually, I talked to broadcasters about this. I know that those games, when they get past 11:15, you get quite a steep drop off in audience. So it's bad for the game. And I think it sort of slows things down as well. I mean, of course, part of the problem is we have strategic timeouts, which are kind of designed to be, more breaks for advertising, basically. And obviously, they have the effect of extending the game. But I do think this is actually quite potentially quite a big issue because so many sports around the world, from baseball to basketball, they've been doing things in recent years to speed up and make themselves shorter. So if T20, the young, the small game of cricket is getting longer and longer, gradually that's quite a problem. So I do think something radical needs to be done. I think, we talked about traditionally it's been fining players, but I don't think fining players really works given the amount they earn now. I think it has to be some sort of tangible hit, ultimately, the biggest hit you could give to a team is you could suspend the captain, or you could actually impose a points deduction on the team. And I think as soon as you started seriously doing things like that, you'd find that time wasting would, or not really time wasting, just drawing games out because players like to, bowlers are talking through options and so on, and probably not even realizing that they're doing it sometimes. I think you'd find very quickly that things were speeding up a lot, and you could shave half an hour off games. If it was up to me personally, I don't know why we need to change ends every over. I think if you changed ends every 2 overs rather than every over, you would reduce the number of changes in innings from 19 to 9, and you'd save 10 or 15 minutes in innings very, very easily. And I think that, because ultimately, if you're turning on a game, you might have to wait a minute until you see a ball being bowled sometimes, which actually in this day and age is a problem. So yeah, I really think it is an issue for T20, and it should get ahead of the game with it rather than react to it and wait until people get really, really annoyed. But I really hear this quite a lot from people. It is a mumbling. People are annoyed about this, and it potentially is stopping kids from watching games to the end. And if you want to keep a sport being as popular as it can be, you obviously need to get the new generation and be as inclusive as possible to them. So yeah, T20 needs to start acting on this.
Do you have a question for Joginder as well? I think we'll take that as the last question, please.
No, I don't. I have a question for Tim. Hello. Good evening, everyone. I'm here, Tim, if you can see me. To your right, extreme right. My hands are raised? Yeah. So, my question is to you, Tim. It's regarding India's approach to T20s. So, in T20 cricket, because there are only 20 overs, the value of a wicket goes down as compared to one-dayers or test matches. So, and India, perhaps after what Joginder ji did in that final over, perhaps T20 cricket has evolved, but India haven't. Now, only recently, in the last match, India got 240 runs in 20 overs. That was a decisive change from the approach that they adopt. So, what would be your advice? To go all out like the West Indies do or India do, or to protect your wicket like India have been doing? Is there a middle ground between the two? Because if you risk too much, you may get out for 120 instead of getting 240. So how do you find that middle ground?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and obviously partly it depends on the players you have at your disposal. So I think the West Indies approach is actually, the West Indies approach is basically we're going to hit more sixes than you. I think that's a pretty optimal approach if you have the players. And in that the semi-final last time, the amazing thing was, I think India only had in their innings, they had 25 balls where they didn't score a run. 25 dot balls, but the West Indies in their innings had 50 dot balls, so twice as many balls where they didn't score a single run, which is kind of like wasting a ball. And yet, because the West Indies hit far more boundaries and far more sixes especially, they still won that chase easily. So I think in general, if you look at India's approach, it's been too much towards valuing wickets and not enough to scoring as quickly as possible. Clearly, it's not as simple as trying to hit every ball for six. There's a lot of nuance going on. But I think in general, it makes sense to shift the dial a little bit more towards the West Indies approach. And there's different ways of doing that. So we've seen with the way that Sunil Narine is used by KKR, he's basically a bowler that they use to open the batting as a free wicket because he can go out and slog. If he hits 10 off 5, that's job done, that's fine. Even something like that is a way of potentially trying to exploit the power play a bit more without risk of getting out. I think sometimes with Virat Kohli an issue actually because his wicket is worth so much to India that if he's in the power play, he's probably more conservative than would be ideal. And that can mean there's a lot of catching up to do a bit later in the innings. So it's a very fine balance, and it varies on the the team you have, the team you're playing, conditions and so on. But I think in general, India would be better served moving the dial a little bit towards being more aggressive. And as you said, to score 240 in that last game against the West Indies, that was, it's not going to always be like that, but that's a glimpse of what is possible. And to go back to that semi-final last World T20, that was a classic example of a team valuing their wickets too highly. So Jinkar Rahane was brought in, did the role he was picked to do perfectly, but he scored 42 off 35, which on that wicket was way too slow. And it meant India didn't score as many runs as they should have done given the platform they had and so on. So yeah, in general, wickets are overvalued. So in general, it makes sense to be a bit more aggressive, but it's obviously not always as simple as that.
हेलो एवरीवन, मेरा सवाल जोगिंदर शर्मा से है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम इंटरनेशनल क्रिकेट, डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट में अब हरियाणा क्रिकेट टीम काफ़ी अच्छा प्रदर्शन कर रही है. तो आपके मुताबिक क्या कारण रहे हैं पिछले कुछ सीज़न से हरियाणा क्रिकेट टीम इतना अच्छा प्रदर्शन कर रही है?
प्रदर्शन कर रही है कि नहीं कर रही है?
कर रही है.
ऑब्वियसली मैं आपको बताना चाह रहा हूँ, जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस रहा है वही अभी टीम में काफ़ी ऐसे प्लेयर्स हैं जो बाहर क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं, जैसे दिल्ली में आके खेलते हैं. यहाँ इतना सारा क्रिकेट हो गया तो वो भी अच्छा खेल रहा है. दूसरी बात, अभी मिस्टर अनिरुद्ध चौधरी जो हैं, जो हमारे सेक्रेटरी हैं हरियाणा क्रिकेट एसोसिएशन के, पहले हम लोग जो डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल के जो मैचेस होते थे वो 35-40 ओवर्स के होते थे, और अभी उसको चेंज करके 2 डेज़ और 3 डेज़ मैचेस होने लगे हैं, जिससे प्लेयर्स को ज़्यादा अभी लीग मैचेस होने लगे हैं. उनको एक्सपोजर हम लोगों को उनको करने का ज़्यादा मौका मिलने लगा है. और 2 डे और 3 डे मैचेस में आप देखिए कि बैट्समैन कभी भी लंबे 100 रन बनाता है, 200 बनाता है, लेकिन 35 ओवर्स मैच में इतने रन नहीं बना पाता. ऐसे बॉलर्स का है तो तभी भी 2 दिन का या 3 दिन का मैच होता है, तो 90 ओवर्स में वो 15 ओवर, 20 ओवर, 16 ओवर डालता है, तो उसका फिटनेस का पता लगता है, उसको आइडिया ज़्यादा होता है, विकेट्स ज़्यादा लेता है, कॉन्फिडेंस ज़्यादा बढ़ता है. वही चीज़ अब हरियाणा रणजी ट्रॉफी जो खेल रही है, रणजी ट्रॉफी डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट में, वो आपको सामने नज़र आई. यही एक कारण है कि अच्छा प्रदर्शन कर रही है.
Thank you so much. In fact, wishing you both best of luck. I think we're done. Any more questions? So Tim, thank you so much for coming here and wish you all the best for your book. I'm sure it's going to do really well. Thank you so much. And thank you, Joginder. Thanks.
Thanks so much. And if I just say, we've got a few copies of the book here if anyone would like to buy a present for themselves or their friends or family. So we've got some at the back if anyone would like one.
Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Joginder. And thank you, Ambika. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big round of applause for all the three out here? And with this amazing session, we come to the end of day 1 of Wigmore Sports Literature Festival Season 2. And we request you to please join us tomorrow as well. We have a very exciting lineup, and I'm sure you are going to feel equally enriched tomorrow too. Thank you so much once again for being such a wonderful audience, and wish you a very good evening. Thank you.